office space. Officially mine. Cheers. In 2021, I got my first, quote, real studio space. Prior to this year, I have configured workspaces in 6 different bedrooms and have always worked from home. A huge goal of mine has always been to get to the point where I can afford my own studio, and this year I finally made that happen. So in this video, I'll be walking you through the entire build out and the entire space. So if you're anything like I was, maybe wanting your own space one day, you might be able to use this as inspiration. Let's start this tour with desk number 1, where I have 4 different backdrops configured. I don't use this desk quite as much as my main desk setup, which we'll get into in a minute, but it's really nice to have for product videos and just straight on talking head kind of stuff. When building this space, I really wanted everything to be easy to set up and modular so that I could be up and rolling within minutes and also use it for a variety of things. There's nothing worse than sometimes spending an hour or even more setting up your talking head shot. Then by the time you go to actually film your video, you've completely lost all of your creative juices. So within minutes, I can choose between a wood, white, gray, or black backdrop and just swing my 120D over with a dome on it and have some really nice lighting and a really nice setup. Not only do these work as awesome backdrops, but using the white one and a cheap projector, I now have a giant movie screen to premiere my films to my clients. I also hung these Edison bulbs from IKEA to add a bit of a vibe. I just really love Edison bulbs, which you'll see all around my office. Something kind of fun is to turn them on. I have them all plugged into these special outlets I think I got from Best Buy, maybe Amazon, which I can turn on using voice command. Turn on all outlets. I just got tired of going around my office and turning on and off about 10 lights manually every single day. I also hung my Edison bulbs in a way that make it super easy to get rid of them. I just unhook them and take them down and push them to the side if I don't want those Edison bulbs on my backdrop shot. Before I show you my main desk setup, I want to show you the rest of this main room in my studio. In this corner, with the help from my girlfriend, we designed a little spot to sit and relax, be creative, or meet with clients. My personal favorite use of this space is drinking my morning cup of coffee while I get the creative juices flowing. The chairs are from West Elm, and I think I ordered the rug on Amazon. Now, you may have noticed the photos around my office, which I got printed for super cheap from Costco, and I also got the frames for very cheap at IKEA. If you're gonna frame your work, I highly recommend picking those up at IKEA because they're literally half the price as anywhere else online. When I moved into this space, the echo was terrible because of all of the hardwood in the whole office, which made recording my videos almost impossible. So I picked up 2 sets of sound panels from sweetwater.com, 1 set in gray for out here and 1 in black for my editing room. This isn't a totally foolproof system though, because as you can see, there's still tons of gaps on the walls, the ceilings, and there's no carpets on the floor. I didn't really want to install carpets in this entire office or be hanging stuff from the ceiling, so this is sort of my happy medium setup. I mainly didn't want to spend any more money on it because quality sound panels like these are super pricey. I might add some of those little foam squares that you can get off Amazon, but purely for aesthetic because those things do literally nothing. Now, this room over here, I initially was going to turn it into a mini little movie theater to premiere my videos for my clients. However, I ended up deciding it was totally overkill because I could just do that out here, and one of my friends actually ended up renting this room to store some of his merch for his clothing business, which is awesome because it helps me cut down on rent. Over here, this office space came with this storage room, which I use to store miscellaneous gear, tools, and other little odds and ends. This room has been awesome for keeping stuff out of sight and organized most of the time. It's honestly pretty basic in here, but I've labeled each section using a label maker to keep it organized, and I can say this $20 label maker changed my life. I also charge all of my batteries in this room, and as you can see, it's a bit of a mess. I hope to build a pegboard system or something more organized in the future, but I just haven't got there yet. Okay, so now it's time to show you my favorite room in the whole office, my main desk and editing setup. Let's start with the centerpiece of this room, which is the desk. The tabletop is from IKEA, and the motorized legs, because this is a sit-stand desk, are from Autonomous. I did a ton of research and I'm super happy with how this turned out. I love the walnut color of this desk from IKEA, and the Autonomous legs are super sturdy. This desk does not move at all, even if I put a ton of weight on it. I could have just gone out and bought a kit that came with both the legs and the tabletop, but I couldn't find anything that specifically fitted my needs of wanting this walnut table and some really strong black legs, so I bought them separately and built them together, which honestly, it didn't take me more than probably an hour or two to set up and build. I programmed this desk to have 3 main settings: low, medium, and high. When it's in its low position is when I'm sitting in my Autonomous chair, which I'll get to in a second. The mid-height setting, I will pull over my Autonomous stool, which I will get to in a second as well, just to give me sort of a mid-height where I'm not completely standing up yet way of working. And then at its third position, in the very highest setting, I'm usually standing, and I'll usually work in this position for about 15 to 20 minutes at a time and then cycle back between 1 and 2. Because this is a standing height desk, I really had to spend a lot of time with the cable management, because when it's up in its standing third position, if the cables were not managed, they were just dangling and falling everywhere and looked absolutely terrible. So let me know down in the comments if you want a full video on just my desk setup and how I cable managed it, because I'm pretty happy with the result. As I just mentioned, the 2 main chairs I'm using for this setup is this Autonomous chair that leans back a lot and is really comfortable, and I can really sit in it for extended periods of time. And then also an ergo stool from Autonomous. I believe that's what they call it. The stool especially looks really funky. When people come in, they always laugh at it, but then once they sit on it and try it out, they want to order one for themselves. I can say that this stool has been worth every penny. While a little bit spendy at $100 for a stool, I actually think having the stool is a better value than this chair, because this chair was like $600 or $700. I think you get more value out of the stool, and for fidgety people like me that constantly want to be moving around and kind of fidgeting while they're working, the stool is awesome. Now let's talk about what's on top of my desk. I have a ton of goodies from a company called Grovemade, like the keyboard holder and the trackpad holder, and this little piece of walnut wood here that elevates my iMac so I have good posture. All of those are from Grovemade, and shout out Grovemade for sending me this gear. They are not sponsoring this video. They did not pay me to make this video. So all of these opinions are 100% mine, but they did send me this gear to test out, and I am absolutely loving them so far. They just add such a nice aesthetic to your setup, and while they are a little bit pricey, they're super well made. I do believe they're handmade, and they feel like a very quality product. These things are not cheaply made. The last Grovemade product I have on my desk here is this mouse pad, which looks super clean with the leather black top with the little walnut pen holder, which I use to store my Apple Pencil that I use for my iPad. So thanks again, Grovemade, for sending me these products. I absolutely love them and can't recommend them enough to you guys. Now, for probably my favorite item on this whole desk is my Ember mug. This mug connects to your phone via an app. Yes, a coffee mug that you can control with your phone. And it essentially keeps your coffee hot, or your tea, or any beverage you decide to put in it. Before I had this mug, I was running back and forth to the microwave at least 5 times a day, because I really like to slowly sip on my coffee, and I hate drinking cold or lukewarm or room temperature coffee. So the Ember mug has saved my life and increased my productivity, so I can justify its pretty high price tag. But I actually didn't have to pay for it because #Christmas gift. My speakers are made from a company called Klipsch, and I believe they came from Costco for no more than $120 for 2 speakers and a sub. So while yes, they're not the best or the most expensive editing monitors, they sound pretty darn good. They do the job for me, and yeah, I couldn't recommend them more. For $120, they sound amazing. For my actual computer setup, I am rocking this 2020 iMac. No, it's not an M1 chip, but it edits all my 4K footage buttery smooth from my Sony a7S III, my Mavic 3, so I don't really need to see a reason for upgrading anytime soon unless I start shooting on like 8K. which I'm not planning on, and I just paid this computer off, so not trying to add another expense. Above it, I have a 4K LG monitor that is connected via a clamp on the desk. That's as long as I could possibly get it without it feeling sketchy so that it would clear the top of my iMac. Before I show you my drone wall back here, let's talk storage. I'm using two OWC RAID drives, one for my footage archiving and one for editing. Now, general rule of thumb for backing up data is you want it in 3 different locations. So for me, I have one copy here on my RAID drive, which is pretty safe because of how the RAID works, which I'm not gonna get into now, but comment below if you want me to make another video on that. Another, or your second setup, you want to have off location, off site, in case this building burns down. So the way I do that is I buy cheap 8 terabyte drives, load all the footage onto those about every 3 to 6 months, and then I store those at home. And then my third location is up on the cloud using Backblaze. This kind of backup drive setup has taken me years to work up to in terms of being able to finance it. I have probably 20 or 30 individual hard drives laying around my house. But if you're watching this and you're just getting started, at least use hard drives and back them up to other ones and store them in different locations. And then eventually I would recommend something like a RAID system where there's essentially a sequence of drives working together in one enclosure. In total, I have about 100 terabytes of storage because I burned through a lot of data between making content for YouTube, for Instagram, for social media, for my course, for myself personally, but then also for my production company, which is my full-time job. I have been saving the best for last, and that is the drone wall. Right now, I have 3 drones on it. I have my Air 2S, my Mini 2, and my new Mavic 3. I love this drone wall because above all else, it looks really cool as a backdrop in my videos, but it also serves a function. It allows me to just quickly grab and go. If a drone is up on the wall or a controller is on the wall, I keep them charged. So if they're not charged, they go in the other room for charging, and then they come here once they're charged. So I can just grab them super quick and head right out super fast. I just thought it was a fun little way to keep them organized and tidy. They're on an IKEA pegboard, and below that is an IKEA cart where I love to rig out my gear. I also tidy up some gear in 3 boxes on that cart. One are just extra drone parts, another one are pieces for my camera rig when I like to rig out my Sony a7S III, and then a third one are for cables. For the lighting that is in this space, I'm using 2 GVM lights. I think I bought the combo pack on Amazon for both of them for about $250, and I use those to light the backdrop you're watching right now. And then recently I bought this, I don't even know what it's called, this corner light from Full-Time Filmmaker, because if you haven't heard of that company or brand before, started by Parker Walbeck, they are now creating products for creators, and I wanted to support them, so I bought their light, and it works really well. It's not RGB, but it is bicolor, so you can change the color temperature. This corner of my office was always just really dark, and it really added in light and looks super sleek, especially as a backdrop or in photos. To light myself right now, I'm using the same aperture 120D that I use outside. I just slide it back and forth because this is laminate, kind of plastic fake wood flooring, and it slides super easily without scratching. So I just slide it back and forth on this C-stand. I'd love to get another one that stays permanently in here and stays permanently out there, but dollars. Now, I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to clarify anything that I talked about, or maybe if I missed something that you have a question about, just let me know down below. I am super grateful to have a space like this. I've been working at it for literally 10 years since I started in filmmaking. I started in my bedroom, and then, well, multiple bedrooms, and then I rented out a separate bedroom in our house just for my office. And then I graduated to an actual office space that is not connected to my house. It's actually an office. And I'm so happy with how the studio came out. It's been at least, it's been about a year in progress to get it to the point where it's at now. And there's already so many things that I want to add and I want to refine in the future to make it even better. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit that like button. Again, let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. And I will see you guys in 2022. Peace.